Program are those of the hosts and guests and not necessarily those of the staff or management of KLAV.
The sport of radio control racing has swept the nation, and Vegas RC Raceway is proud to present the first radio show in the nation to cover this rapidly growing sensation. So, without further delay, your hosts Eric Flynn and the Big Shane bring you Radio Control Race Chat.
Hey there, I'm Eric.
And I'm the Big Shane.
There we go, and this is RC Race Chat. Before we get started, if you want to call in and ask questions during the show, you can do so at 702-731-1230. Also, if you're getting out of your car and into your house, you can stream us live from the Vegas RC Raceway website, which is thevrcr.com. We have a great show today. We have our normal RC Insider segment. Jeremy there always helping out. And Jimmy Babcock on the show today.
Yeah, Jimmy's phenomenal in the sport. He's been around for a really long time in the RC industry, and he puts on great events across the nation, and his JBRL electric series and Nitro series.
Hitting them both really hard.
Yeah, he's definitely on the top of the map for race directors and people of that nature.
Yeah, it's definitely something to strive to when you see this guy. I mean, he was such a racing powerhouse earlier on, and then to start, hot rod, and then everything else he's doing is just phenomenal with the JBRL and all the races he puts on. Even came out for Silver State here.
Yeah, we had him up here last year for the Silver State race, and just to have his name on that paper meant more than anything else. I don't think as many people would have showed up as they did if Jimmy wasn't here.
He definitely draws a crowd.
He puts on a really good show.
Sure. Absolutely.
And it's he doesn't mess around at all. It's just from start to finish, it's always good.
Yeah, class act, absolutely.
Yeah.
But before we get into the RC Insider segment and the interview with Jimmy, a few things. First off, a big shout out to Cow RC. Got a call from Heath. Actually, it was on Facebook, and then we spoke today on the phone. And what a class act this guy is. I think I was talking to you about it earlier, Shane.
Yeah.
The products they put out a line of lubricants and cleaners and that kind of stuff. Then they have their Cow RC pit mats. And they have stationary ones that you're really not supposed to move around. And then they have their magnetic ones that you can take with you. Both of them are really, really neat. They have, it's white and black like a cow, hence the name, I believe. And they have the perforated foam to hold your screws and that kind of stuff. The magnetic ones are nice, but still, if you gomer across the top of it, it's going to clean it off.
Spread out the whole house.
Yeah, so it's nice to have the perforated areas there. So just a little shout out to him. Also, the rcarea.co.uk guys. Again,
I love these guys.
I don't know them personally, just reference from email and that kind of stuff. Such a support we have from these guys overseas in Europe. Absolutely phenomenal. I know Shane's seen it too. Every time we look, they're doing their best to make sure that people know about RC Race Chat.
Yeah, they're definitely repping RC Race Chat to the best that they can, and it's pretty awesome that somebody not an American, in Europe, is loving the show. I mean, it's getting out there now. The word's getting out on the street that RC Race Chat is on the top of the chart right now. We're the only radio show in the nation. Radio show that I know about,
right.
We're up there on the map. So
well, yeah, and that's another nice little thing to let listeners know. iTunes, 140,000 listeners.
Yeah, that's great.
So it was really neat. Also, real quick, at the Vegas RC Raceway, our Black Friday sales went crazy.
Yeah, you sold out, huh?
It was unbelievable. It looked like a ghost town. I stocked up extra, some Teak and speed controls, that kind of stuff, first thing in the morning. And I got there at 10 to open, and there was no one there. And then 10:10 came around, and it was like a tsunami of people
lined up at the door waiting for the doors to open, huh?
Yeah, they wanted the good stuff.
Just like Walmart or Target or something, the Black Friday sale.
Yeah, I
VRCR.
didn't get any ladies in muumuus bowling the crowd down.
Oh, yeah.
But close.
No famous Walmart photos.
No, none of that. Also, this past Saturday was the Electric Master Series Round 3.
Crazy racing. It
had to have been some of the most competitive racing Vegas has ever seen.
I believe so. Like, I haven't been to a race here that's been – I was stressed out, and I think everybody was like –
had the jitters.
They had the jitters at the peak of, you got to perform. I think the pro class in buggy was just everything was like a second in between somebody else. So like one person qualified maybe a second faster than somebody else did. And I think right now at any given weekend, especially with the pro buggy class, it can be anybody's game. I know there's three different races, 3 different winners, and TQ guys for those 3 weeks, which is crazy. Usually in a race series, it's like 1 guy or 2 guys that just dominate the whole thing, and not so much with this series. This series is off the chain right now with the competitiveness.
Absolutely,
that's going on.
All the way from the expert pro guys all the way down to the novice guys.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sportsman, novice, even novice is crazy battles.
Clean racing.
Yeah. It seemed like this week. It seemed like everybody's at the top, their peak. You know, they got the track down. They're doing good laps and racing clean. And it's just crazy battles for those top spots.
Absolutely.
It's strapped out.
And now what I've been hearing is now it's the middle of the series, so we started taking the throwouts into consideration.
Yeah.
So right now you have your best 2 and 1 throwout. Now there are 2 throwouts for the event, but only one of them in consideration right now. We took 2 races, and that's how we kind of did the standings.
Sure.
Speaking of the standings, let's go ahead and rip through
let's
those
go
real
over
quick
those
here.
real quick.
In 17.5 buggy, we have Rocco. He's out front with 201 points. That's first place. Then Mean Gene Mason in second with 200 points. Got a tie for third between Dennis LeBaron and Mango at 194. And then in fifth place, they're rounding out the field, is Chris Townsend from Hobbytown. So it's pretty awesome there. Expert modified buggy. This is kind of the F1 pinnacle class at the Vegas RC Raceway. Yeah. We have Steve Anthill and Shane Lyon both tied for first with 200 points. Then we have Mikey Bustamante in third with 198. Tyler Barron in fourth with 196. And Jimmy D, James Rashko, rounding out the field in fifth with 194. Kid's driving his heart out here. I think we're going to see some big things from him the last half of the series.
Yeah, I'm pretty proud of him for stepping it up in the expert class. Even though, I mean, there's a couple guys that may be a little bit more seasoned veterans in the sport than he is. But he's definitely stepped up his game here the past couple months. The kid's on fire.
Absolutely, yeah. If I don't see him with some big sponsors in the next 6 months, I'll be completely surprised.
I think they'll come around. He just needs to start traveling around and doing some bigger things maybe, or just get his name out there. You know, the kid needs to get recognized. And I see him. If he sticks to his game plan, him and his mom, they got some good, stuff in the future in store for him. So if he can just stick on it and stay good in school and stay on top of the RC car stuff too, I think he's going to be a definite contender here in the recent future.
Yeah, I agree completely. And on that note, moving on to Sportsman Modified Buggy, Max K at it again. Another TQ
there's another
win.
one. Yeah, there's another one that's on the map. I mean, he just started electric, and now he's at the top of the chart with the sportsman class. I mean, he's doing pretty good. I know some people out there are calling him sandbagger, but I can assure you that kid is not a sandbagger, and he's just come up. I mean, he's running fast laps, and he
consistent.
I think I trained him pretty well. So
there you go, yo Yoda. Huh? So we got Max K there in Sportsman Mod Buggy. In first place, 202 points. It would actually be 303, but we take one throw, so we just use the best 2.
Sure.
Zach Wilcox and Eric Gilbert are tied for second with 197. Then we have Dennis LeBaron in fourth with 196, and Joe White in fifth, rounding out the field with 194. 4x4 short course, another exciting class. We have Steve Anthill out front with 202 points. We have Kevin Kimberly and Rocco tied for second with 197. And then we have a two-way for fourth between yourself, Shane, and Eric Gilbert with 194. So I know that that was your first week of actually getting to put down some laps with the 4x4.
Yeah.
You didn't get the TQ, but you did get the win.
Yeah.
So that was good there. 100 points is always nice. I'd imagine
it was a great battle too,
it was
between me and Steve there at the end. It was back and forth type racing, and I can't believe that on the last lap, last corner, the buzzer already went off, and it was the final lap. He actually, we kind of collided there at the very end, and he actually stopped and
very sportsmanlike. But
yeah,
that's what you expect from racers of your caliber and Steve's caliber.
I wouldn't have been angry if he just kept on running. It's a race series, and no harm, no foul kind of situation. I just was the one that was upside down at the very last moment, and I wouldn't have been mad at him. but he definitely very sportsman
Sportsman-oriented. Yeah, absolutely.
conduct there. For him to stop and to take a defeat that way was awesome. I thank him for it. So at least it gets me up there in the points
it does.
a little bit.
It brought
there.
you up a bit for sure. And then we have Kevin Kimberly and Rocco tied for second there with 197. And then again, just going over that, Shane and Eric Gilbert tied for fourth with 194. That rounds out your field in 4x4. Then we have expert modified short course, Jonah Gallen out there in first place with 202 points. He's out there in his TQ short course truck, tearing it up. Looks real good out there, 202 points. We got yourself, Shane Lyon, in second with 200 points. Kevin Kimberly in third with 197. And then we got Rocco and Jimmy D rounding out the field, tied for fourth with 196. So again, Jimmy D there in the expert class, putting it down.
Definitely.
Then we have our sportsman short course class, Dennis LeBaron out front, TQs and wins out front there with 202 points. Mango with Cichlids there in second with 199. Got a tie for third between Zach Wilcox and Joe White with 196. And Connor Bailey in fifth, rounding out the field with 195. Another young kid that when he gets down there really puts down some laps.
Yeah, he does. He puts it down pretty good.
And here it is. It's actually become my favorite class is novice. Tori Romero out front, 201 points. Art Lewis in second with 199. Kevin Woolman in third with 198. Matt Saracola in fourth with 196. And Davian Parks rounding out the field in fifth with 193. That close in the points is phenomenal in a novice race. Halfway in, really cool.
Yeah, they're battling it back and forth there for the series. And those novice kids are something else to watch. It's very fun for me to watch the novice kids. I like watching them.
It is the future for sure.
Yeah.
And that rounds out the field for the Electric Master Series Round 3. Round 4 is this Saturday at 4 p.m. If you're running a little late, call into the shop for early sign-up. That's 702-684-7223. That is the Vegas RC Raceway phone number there to call in.
Yeah, and be sure, even if you're not racing in this series, just come down there. If you've never seen these RC cars in action, this series is something else to come out and just come and watch these great
Enjoy
battles.
it,
And
right.
And this is like the pinnacle of RC cars right here. So when you can come out on a Saturday to come out and check it out, and maybe even just to get familiarized with the sport and the hobby, come check it out. It's something else. It's something else to see. That's
right. We're located there at 3420 North Rancho. That's just north of Cheyenne on Rancho, directly across the street from Sonic. And moving on with our RC Insider segment, Jeremy, how you doing, Jeremy?
Hey, what's going on, fellas?
Jeremy, what's up, man?
Another day in paradise, and I'm not supposed to say that.
Yeah, you're not supposed to say that.
Go on. What were you gonna say? I didn't mean to talk over you there.
Oh, we went over some wording that we were discussing earlier, and another day in paradise was on that top of the list that needed to be edited.
I was telling you that at the JBRL night. I'm like, when Eric always says another day in paradise. I'll tell you what, man, it was today, dude. It was kind of warm down here in San Diego, man. I won't beat it. I wore shorts all day today. I'm not complaining.
Must be nice.
Not too bad. Listen, I got some interesting news. I talked with Eric this morning, and he told me Jimmy's your guys' guest tonight.
Yes.
Who runs Hot Rod Hobbies and JBRL Nitro and Electric Series, which is one of the premier series in the country. I have to say, I would have to say it's probably the number one most rated series in the United States at this time.
Yeah, isn't he like the only form of sanctioned racing that happens on the West Coast? How many Roar events are there on the West Coast? There's not that many.
Absolutely. But then now you see, Jay Cerrone, is doing the J Concepts, the national series all around, the East, the West, North, South, and then, there's other, races that he sponsors, state championships, and the list goes on and on. There's almost a race every weekend. But
sure. When
it comes to the best of the best, whether you're from novice all the way up to the pros,
you look at JBRL.
You look at the JBRL.
Correct.
That's in my opinion. Believe me, I've got the critics from all over the different parts of the U.S. When I go to different races, they tell me, oh, Jeremy, you need to get out of California. You need to, get away from the JBRL. You need to go to all the other big races. But I covered JBRL for two reasons. I'm like Jimmy. I'm totally into the loyalty, and that's huge to me. And he's been loyal to my website, so I always cover his series. And, if you think about it, you've raced it, the past couple of years. it's probably, you know, it's the best you're ever going to get to race with the best. You know, I think. You know, on
a lot of pros show up, and it's definitely you can't find that anywhere in the nation. I don't think. You know, Ryan Cavalieri's, the Tebows, the Cody Kings, these names are not at any other real big race series that I'm familiar with. It's all about the West Coast right now for sure.
Now, I'll tell you what, the news that I got today, I spoke with both track owners here in San Diego who used to work together at SDRC Raceway here in San Diego, the indoor track. Dave Brown and Scott Bergen used to work together there at the racetrack. Dave was Scott's employee at one time when they opened up that racetrack. But last weekend, over Thanksgiving holiday weekend, apparently Jimmy Babcock made a little trip down here to San Diego and visited with both track owners. And all it has to be is declared the date, signed and sealed. But it looks like in 2012, the JBRL is coming to San Diego for both Nitro and Electric, which that's huge because it's the first time in its whole stint that it's ever been to San Diego. And you know, every time I've talked to Jimmy, he's always wanted to bring a series down here.
Yeah,
you know?
Definitely. That's awesome because that's going to get me to go there too because I have a lot of family that's in San Diego.
Dude,
and
you and I will have so much fun. We'll barbecue, go out to Fiesta Island.
I'm ready.
I'm
ready. Go ride some jet skis and stuff.
Island.
Yeah, let's do it.
You got to get Eric to do it. Get him to come down.
Yeah, if I can pull him away from the shop for a day, that'd be helpful. But as growing up in San Diego, I was never able to go to any. There was no sanctioned racing in San Diego at all. There wasn't any tracks anywhere. The only one growing up as a kid was the El Cajon Motor Speedway RC track, and then it got shut down. I guess they put in some more, hangars and stuff. It was a private airport there, and then there was no more RC cars. And there's only been like 2 shops in all of San Diego at the time when I left there, and I never could understand why it wasn't such a big hit there as it was like in the LA area,
Oh, you have no idea. They should have had an indoor track in here 10, 12 years ago.
It should have been there.
No,
it would have been huge. Now it's going to blow up.
There were tracks here, and this is what people don't know, that how much I've followed RC as a kid. Growing up back in the day when Del Mar, was huge on the skateboarding scene, this was like in the 80s and stuff, like when Tony Hawk was getting his start and doing the whole Bones Brigade thing. There was an outdoor off-road track. If you ever watched the news down here in San Diego, Marty Levine, who's a huge RC guy and just retired at 739 last year, used to race at E&L Hobbies out there in Del Mar, and this was back in the early 80s. That's when they had a track there, and then Discount Hobbies had a track down here. It's over the years, it's just kind of come and gone, and nobody's been able to really get a hold on keeping a track. Family Hobbies out in I want to say Mission Gorge, before they had eminent domain hit them, they had a good track going there for several years. But I mean, it's tough. You can't in these kind of cities like San Diego, it is tough to get land, to get a warehouse, and you're paying so much a month. I can only imagine it's going to be double what you guys deal with down there in Las Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas is probably a little bit cheaper, but from growing up in San Diego, there were so many different spots that you can go, and I never could understand why there wasn't a sanctioned track somewhere and something on the map. It's there now, so now I'm stoked that JBRL is going to be a part of that whole thing with San Diego. It's going to make me want to go to those races for sure. So that's great.
Yeah, it was awesome to talk with Dave Brown and Scott Bergen about it today. They told me that Jimmy wants to go there. They just got to get the hard definition on the dates. And here's the thing. David talked to me on the phone about this. This morning. He said, "Look, Jeremy," he goes, "Jimmy and I were talking about what would be a good Nitro date." And I said, "Personally, dude, I'd love to see Palm Desert come off that schedule and then swap it in with San Diego in that hot summer months." Not saying that I don't want Nitro racing to go out to Palm Desert, but I mean, dude, if you raced that race last year, it was super hot. I didn't opt.
I heard it was 117 degrees and the track temperature was 180.
Yeah, I mean, believe me, Chris Morrell.
They just chose the wrong month, I think. That's all.
It good. It's just too hot to race
Sure.
there in the summertime, and I don't think it's going to go back there next summer. I don't think they'd be crazy to do it. If they're going to do it in the last couple of months of the series or in the very beginning. If you're going to do it in Palm Desert, which has a race going out there this weekend.
I know it was easier for some of the Arizona guys that travel on that series. And it definitely, some people from Havasu and stuff like that, they actually all went to that race because it was so close to them, where they wouldn't normally go to a JBRL. But since it was on the map for that year, they did most of the series. So I don't know if that's going to hurt or help.
I think, to be honest with you, I like the track out there. And when I went for the electric series, it was in May, and it was a perfect time to do that race because it wasn't too hot. But, dude, if you go out there in July or August, dude, you're getting crushed. I mean,
yeah, it's seriously, it can get hot out there in the open desert. It gets
hot
gets
here.
warm. Yeah,
that's why we got this indoor thing going on. Maybe we can get some nitro up here. So
yeah, I know here at the Vegas RC Raceway, I'm lucky enough to have a nice thick block building.
Yes.
So even when it's 117 outside,
it's like 75.
It's still
inside,
75 inside. You got the swamp coolers on. All you need is the pina colada with the little umbrella, and you'd be right as rain.
There you go, right as rain, man. I got two other things I want to talk about tonight, and then you get on into your segment. Real quick, I want to give a huge shout-out to Kevin Hebert. Over the weekend, he did the trifecta and won Cleveland Indoor Championship. So Thanksgiving, it's been a long-running on-road race out there at the Holiday Inn there in Cleveland. He and I touched base over the weekend. He won the Super Stock and Touring Car Mod and 112 modified and on road. Kevin Hebert is a team associated factory driver. He's basically the Cavalieri of the team for on road. I mean, he's their number one go-to guy. They're grooming him to be the next big thing at Team Associated for on road, and he's already doing it. I mean, his main competition, Paul Lemieux, here in on road, wasn't there at the race this last weekend. I'm assuming probably 'cause he was observing the holiday, doing the family thing, and they've got a X-ray race going on out in the time zone this weekend up in Washington. So I'm sure he took the holiday weekend off, but it was good to see Kevin do well over the weekend. I'm going to have some stuff up on the website later in the week.
Well, that's awesome. It's always nice to see someone, an up-and-comer, someone that people have been grooming, come to fruition. It's the alternative isn't so pretty.
He's been all over. It's just that he's in the invitational class, 3D Race Champions, but he hasn't hit Ronald Volker, Mark Reinhardt status quite yet in that on road. But he's right up there. He's getting there.
Well, that's good. It's always good to hear. And what else you got?
Finally, before we get to Jimmy, I was going to say, I don't know if you saw it on my website tonight, but J Concepts released their new bodies for the DEX 210, the two-wheel Durango buggy that Shane has, and the TLR Illusion. They came out with their new finisher bodies for those two-wheel drive buggies. So
when are those available? Just out of curiosity, are they already available?
They're already available because they wouldn't drop the video and the bought it to if they weren't available just yet. You could probably order them online at this time right now and probably receive them within a couple of weeks.
I do know also
they're
that
available.
I do know that J Concepts is also making some ball cups for that Durango. Well, it fits the Durango anyway.
I saw them,
and I saw them this week, and they're actually phenomenal. So
with their Clash coming out next weekend, their big end of the year race, which there's some guys coming over from internationally. Hoop Honegal is going to be there. I mean, there's going to be a lot of people there, and they've got like 300 and. I looked at the thing that was on his website. There's like 393 confirmed and 197 have already paid. I mean, that's gonna be like 400 different entries, and that's probably before people are double dipping into other classes and stuff. So it's gonna have a lot of people there that weekend. And he had mentioned to me when I last saw him over the summer that they're gonna do a lot of releases. There'll be several releases around the J Clash, new stuff that'll be coming out. you'll see probably some new updates next week on my site from him.
Yeah, he's
You know,
definitely got a
gonna
lot
have
of new stuff
come
out on the market and some hot
Well,
items out there.
It's Christmas time. Everyone's
great.
starting to release all their stuff, I think.
Yeah, I know I got in some of those J Concepts backpacks.
Oh,
and,
there you go.
Every single one that I got in sold out immediately. Plus, I ended up ordering quite a few for people. They're neat. They hold the car and the tires and that kind of stuff. So it's neat. Moving on here, Jeremy. Did you want to stay on and ask Jimmy a question?
Absolutely, definitely would love to.
All right, having to do that, let's bring on Jimmy Babcock. How you doing, Jimmy?
How you doing?
Awesome. It's good to hear from you. We got Jeremy from RC Insider on the line here. He wants to get at you with a question before we lay into you.
Hey, Jeremy. I've been listening to you guys for the last 15, 20 minutes. It's good stuff, good things you got going on there.
Oh, thanks, man. Hey, Jimmy, if you heard the beginning of my segment and stuff, and I mentioned about San Diego, I didn't mean to leak it before you did, but the guys, I talked to Dave and Scott today, and they told me that it looks like the JBRL is going to be coming to San Diego for the 2012 season. That's awesome, home of where my website's at and stuff. Is any of this true?
Well, we did take a trip down there this past weekend on Saturday, and I got the chance to visit both of the tracks, and started off in the morning time heading down to Chula Vista, and met up with Dave and got to check out the Eighth Wonder, and it's a awesome facility. I guess you guys had some rain down there not too long ago, and the track was a little in disarray, I guess, as far as the rain goes, but awesome facility, and really looking forward to going down there. Dave's been, one of the guys that's, along with yourself and a lot of the other, San Diego guys, Josh Mitchell, Jason Pang, that have been trying to get me to come down there. And, me, my whole thing from day one is to try to get to the places, that most support me. And I've had a tremendous following from San Diego, from 2004 and on when I started the JBRL, and I've been really trying to get down there, but nothing, like I heard you say, nothing's really stuck down there. And a couple of years ago, I think we were really, really close with Dave and another track, I believe it was in Verona. And,
right.
He basically stepped up at the last minute and said, "Hey, you know what? I don't want you to go through all this work if this place isn't going to be ready, and so let's just go ahead and pass." So unfortunately we came really close, but we weren't able to make it. But it's looking really good. Obviously they got a huge A-scale track down there. Still has a way to go. Power, lights, a lot of stuff needs to happen. But it's looking pretty good. I heard you talking about the weather and all that good stuff, and just to ease everybody's mind, we're definitely going to Palm Desert. Believe it or not, the Nitro JBRL started at Palm Desert. I don't remember how long, 4 or 5 years ago, the very, very first Nitro race was out there. But, yeah, definitely didn't expect that 117-degree day, and we did have, at least 100 people show up for that one still, and it was definitely, I felt bad the whole entire day, but we'll get that one on the schedule, second or third round. I'm looking to put it, sooner than later, and, with that awesome San Diego weather, we'll definitely hit them up, mid-series as far as Nitro goes, so that we have some good weather in the middle of summer. I don't think it gets too bad down there.
One real quick comment I have, and then you guys can take over the show. Jimmy, it's awesome to see on your RC thread. You had on the RC Tech that you remain loyal to the tracks that have stayed loyal with you throughout the JBRL. And you included Palm Desert, and you included Pegasus. A lot of people complain over the years, and they kind of mouthed off to me a little bit about it last year about Pegasus and the track conditions and this and that. And I said, hey, you know what? That's a central area for the JBRL. A lot of guys out of that Inland Empire, the Riverside area, a lot of guys go to that Pegasus area. It almost is like a no-brainer not to keep that one on the map for you there. It's essentially located there in LA for everybody.
Well, yeah, for sure. And, what a lot of, I'm, like I said before, I'm really loyal to the tracks, because, I can only do so much. If I don't have the tracks, that are willing to let me come in and do this, I don't have anything. So I really appreciate the tracks, and I'm really loyal to them. And, a few people, most people don't know that, 2 or 3 years ago when we were going to Pegasus, two 2 rounds per the year, the biggest turnouts, I believe in like '08 and '09, the biggest turnouts were at Pegasus out of all of them, even the top-notch, indoor tracks like OCRC, West Coast, they were still outnumbered by Pegasus. And Tom over there, has always been a supporter of the JBRL. And, the good thing is the last couple of years, the track hasn't been, as good as it has been, just a little bit bumpier, but, it still amazes me how some people, are concerned, or they say, oh, this track's too bumpy, and I'm like, are we racing off-road? And, at the end of the day, we're racing off-road, and we're supposed to be going over bumps and jumps, and but they have a new guy over there that's taken the reins and kind of taken over the place, and I've talked to him already, and he assures me that we'll have a brand new layout and everything will be, up to par. So they've never let me down, in the past. So, I'm really looking forward to going back there, and it's awesome. This year, I believe we're going to be able to, for the first time in like 5 years or so, looks like we have so many tracks that we have to actually turn a couple away, and it looks right now that we're going to have 8 different electric tracks and 8 different nitro tracks for the first time in years. So it'll be a true, series in the sense that, we're going to 8 different facilities. So no locals will have more than a one-track home track advantage, unlike the last couple of years. Last year we went to Hot Rod a couple times. We went to OCRC 2 rounds. The year before we went to West Coast 2 rounds, and it gives guys a little bit of an advantage that race there on a regular basis. But, we're looking good. And before Jeremy leaves, I want to thank, RCinsider.com because, Jeremy was one of the first people that, came in and supported and promoted everything I did, and I really, really want to say thank you
Definitely.
for all that all that you've done, and as far as promoting the series and helping out, and it's you're definitely a blessing, and I appreciate it.
Oh, no worries, Jimmy. I appreciate that. And just to give you a heads up, where I was telling Eric, or as we talked earlier on the phone, one of the cool caveats I'm going to do for the JBRL next year is live streaming and video, that sort of stuff for your rounds next year. So I've been working on it like a madman the past month. So it looks like it's all going to come together here pretty quickly.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. If anybody can do it, you can. And like I said, anything you need from me, say the word.
Thank you so much, Jimmy.
Awesome.
Take
Well, hey,
care.
thank you so much, Jeremy. We do appreciate the segment as always. That's Jeremy with RC Insider. Real quick here before we move on with Jimmy, if you want to call in and ask questions, you can do so, 702-731-1230. Also, you can stream us live from the Vegas RC Raceway website, thevrcr.com. And here we are, Shane and I, with Jimmy Babcock. Yeah. Jimmy, real quick, digging into this, for those people that might not be familiar, why don't you let everyone know a little bit about yourself?
Well, 37 years old, been racing since 91. Started off, racing at, my track now, which formerly was known as Fastlane, and kind of paid my dues. Did a couple years at a small motor company called Max Tech. Then I moved on to, working for Rick Howard at Peak Performance, and basically from there, got a call from my buddy Rod, who had taken over, bought Fastlane and changed the name to Hot Rod Hobbies. He wanted to, name it after himself. His nickname's Hot Rod, so that's where the name came from. And, he asked me to come in and manage the place, and basically have been there ever since. Worked under him for about 7 years, and this coming January will be 7 years since I've had it. So that's pretty much it. In a nutshell, I started racing, raced a couple years from like 91 to 93, won a couple Norca Nationals back in the day, and Team Losi manager at that time was Jack Johnson, and he, asked me if I wanted to be part of the team, and picked up racing with Losi and did the whole circuit like most of the pros do now. Ended up getting 15 national titles and a couple world appearances, a couple A-main appearances at the Worlds, and just like everybody else, you get a little old, you lose the reflexes, and it's time to move on and do some other stuff. So that's when I love the industry, the hobby so much. I couldn't move on and do something else, so I had to figure out a way to keep myself in the industry. Starting off working at the hobby shop, and then announcing club races and
That's super interesting. I know we talked a little bit this morning on the phone, or the other day it was, and we were talking about how I believe I crossed paths with you a couple times when I was super young, 12, 13 years old, back in 91 through 93 there. And now I didn't even know. So you were involved with Max Tech and those guys in Peak. Now those were your companies, or you were just involved with them? How was that?
No, definitely not my companies. Basically just racing around town, SoCal, racing club races, met up with a bunch of different people, Derek Fertani, Greg Hodap, and then this guy ended up, starting an electric motor company and batteries, and after hooking up with Derek and finding out they were looking for people, they were down in Culver City, basically just outside of LA, and of course, as a impressionable young guy, someone asked me to work in the industry and build motors, it was cool for so many reasons, not only to be able to get in there and see what it took to build motors, but also to get that pick of the litter. As a racer, you're always looking for the edge and
get the best
Yeah,
ones, manufacture
for
the
sure.
best one for yourself.
Well,
maybe
I know.
try to tweak it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know when I was a kid back then, I was actually sponsored by Max Tech and Peak. So that's pretty crazy. It's a small world. Now I know Shane, you got a question here. What you got?
Yeah, you said you got involved in the hobby in '91. What about it made you want to take it to the next level?
Well, basically, that's a tough one. I've always been around racing, my whole entire life. Mainly full size stock cars.
Yeah.
We have a local track here, Saugus Speedway, that's closed now, and I've just always been around racing, and I didn't even know. I was kind of a late bloomer. I didn't start until I was 17, and it was an ironic story that I was in auto shop in high school, and we were, wrenching on one of my buddy's cars, and he had this RC car in there, and I'm like, what is that thing? And so he's like, yeah, we race at this place down the road. Happened to be a Tuesday night, the same night they raced, and he invited me out there, and it was just like, as soon as I saw it, it was like, this is what I want to do, and it's, you hear the expression, that,
Caught the bug.
if your work doesn't feel like work, then you're doing something you love, and that's exactly it. It's like,
Definitely.
ever since I started working in the industry, it really hasn't felt like work. I mean, making minimum wage back then, driving all that time, basically putting, half of your paycheck in your gas tank, you definitely have to be motivated and dedicated, because, most people wouldn't do that. And then especially once Max Tech ended and I went down to Orange County, which is, 85 miles away from where I live, and I drove that every single day for 5 years. Once again, making minimum wage, and it just, paying your dues, and eventually one thing leads to another. And if you have, I tell a lot of people it's all about passion. If you have passion for what you do, you're gonna find your way. And I love the industry. I loved racing, and I love doing what I do now. And it's just, I couldn't imagine doing anything else.
That's cool.
Yeah, for sure. And
he's definitely made the name for himself. Got out JBRL. That JBRL is just like
insane.
The number one thing on the West Coast happening right now. And Jimmy has just definitely stepped up the game from coming from a young racer perspective now to track owner and race director. It's just phenomenal what he's done with this sport and how far he's gone with it.
It's absolutely true, Jimmy. It's no matter where you go, what you do, JBRL and your shop is on everyone's lips.
It's always recognized. Yeah.
Absolutely. And it kind of fades into our next question here. From racer to shop owner, does the business side of the hobby kind of give you a different outlook than from the racing side? And if so, how does it differ?
It does. It goes once again back to, just, anybody knows, Eric, you probably know too, hobby shops, not huge money-making opportunities. If you do it right, I heard you guys talking about the price of buildings and whatnot. I've been very fortunate to get, my piece of land for really, really cheap. So it's a little bit easier, but some of these other places, like I assume, rent at your place is pretty high, and then I've talked to the people at West Coast, Danny down there and Robert over at OCRC, and it gets tough, I mean it's definitely something you have passion for. Someone that's not super stoked about RC, I don't think could ever make it, because you gotta feed off of the crowd, and like I heard you guys talking about the rookie class, that's always my favorite, and seeing these guys come out and race, and father and sons, and the expressions on these kids' face when they do well or when they win a trophy, it's like that right there to me is what makes it worth it, all those slow months that we have and all those months where you don't know if you're going to make it. It's just like you got to, because these people rely on you for their recreation, and you see everybody having a good time at your track, at your races that you put on, and it's like that's what does it to me. And it's just like, okay, well, nothing is I can overcome anything when it comes to making sure that I can still provide for these people's good times.
Right, yeah, it's definitely nice to be a part of something that someone enjoys. I know when I'm there at the shop, and I'm there all the time.
Oh,
it's 7 days a week, 10 in the morning to 11 at night. Half the time I don't get out of there till well after midnight. And you don't get tired, because you see these people come in and they come running through the door. They can't wait to get their car on the track, and they learn something new. They're able to do something on the track or beat their previous lap time or whatever it is, and it makes it all worthwhile. Now, kind of fading back to this question here, though, from when you were racing to now being in the situation that you are with the JBRL and Hot Rod and everything else, what's the one misconception that you had from when you were a racer or a person attending a track to now owning a track? What's the one thing that you would have thought might have been different?
Pretty much, I really didn't have any misconceptions. I mean, I pretty much knew that it was going to be a business, and it wasn't going to be all fun and games, but it's all about, your attitude. Of course, I would go to a race, and I would see, the shop that was fully stocked. I would see, the announcer putting on the race. I would see these awesome tracks with new pipe and these awesome jumps. And, as a racer, you kind of take that stuff for granted. You show up and the stuff is already done. You don't realize that there was tons of people, that were behind the scenes that were putting in, tons of time building these jumps, putting these pipes in, hammering these stakes, and, stocking these walls and stuff. And so I kind of knew, I kind of knew just from being around, Rod, the previous owner of my place, and seeing what he had to go through. And, I just knew that if you just kind of approach it at the, with the right attitude, and you just, you're willing to put in the work, that everything would be fine. And, when I was a racer, to me personally, and this is going to sound crazy, but to me it's a lot less work now putting on a series and running a hobby shop than it was when I was a racer. And what I mean by that is, all the traveling, not that I don't do a whole lot of traveling now, but, lugging 3 or 4 50-pound bags through the airport, and, getting up super early, going to the track, setting up your pit, wrenching on your car all day, and then going back to the room, unpacking everything, wrenching on your car, gluing tires until midnight, and then doing it all over again. Just
dropping
to get back
your stuff down the staircase and having all your tools fall out on the ground isn't real cool.
Exactly, and to me that was like, I was way more tired, as a professional racer than I am now. Now it's just kind of like working with your brain and doing what needs to be done. And I'm very thankful, and I think that's part of the reason why my shop and my series, are doing well, is because of the fact that I was a racer before, and I traveled all over the country, all over the world, and I saw, the different tracks, and I listened to tons of different announcers, and kind of, picked up on the things that I like to hear, and that I, when I'm racing, I like to hear, my lap times, or what position I am, or how many seconds I am behind the guy, that I'm catching, and I just kind of put everything into the brain, over all these years of racing, to when, I started doing it myself. The same thing goes for hobby shops, going and seeing different hobby shop layouts and how they have their driver stand and how tall and how big the track is. And, what parts to carry and everything. It just, I just stored everything. So when, I was done with my racing, I kind of applied everything, as a racer that I wanted to see and hear doing what I'm doing now. And I think the racers, appreciate that aspect.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely
That goes
right.
into my next question, Jimmy, is besides the JBRL and the large crowds that it draws, and you still do a ton of other large races as well. What do you do to ensure every event that you put on is top notch? Because it is.
Well, it's just preparation. I'm one of those people that takes a lot of time and a lot of pride, and my firm belief is if you don't have your name, you don't have anything. Which is one of the reasons why when I first started the JBRL, the first year it was just known as the Jimmy Babcock Racing League, because I could have called it Southern California Racing Series or whatever,
Sure.
but no one would know who was behind it. They would say, okay, it's just some guy that's trying to put on a series.
Did you try to do that to promote your own name at the same time that you did that? I mean, to get your name out there as a race announcer or as a race director. I mean, is that why you chose that name?
Exactly, and the whole thing, believe it or not, just kind of fell in my lap because I wasn't ever looking to be a race announcer. My previous boss said, hey, I'm going to show you how to, work the computer and announce. And, it kind of stood there, and I just kind of started doing it. And,
Sure.
and it actually took off when I started putting on big races at my place, the Hot Rod Hobby Shootout, Reedy Truck Race. People would come out, and they would see how fast and efficient and fair the program was, and then they started, calling in asking me to do their races, and it's gotten so big to the point where last year alone I did 37 weekends out of the 52. I was doing putting on races, whether they were a 1-day JBRL or a 2-day race or a 3-day race, all the way up to I've earned my spot as the Roar announcer. So now for every single Roar national event, which is the biggest race you can race in the country, I'm the guy they call and ask at least first, to put on, or to announce, Roar. It's not, one guy doing it all. You got, Steve Pond, our president, and back when I got the job, it was Don Sanchez, and, you would have, an announcer, a race director, a scorekeeper, and a tech official. So there was actually a 4-man team they called the race management team. So definitely a team effort, and like I said, I love it, and I'm looking forward to many more years, as long as people will have me doing it, and I try to do a good job, because I feel like I'm always auditioning. Every race I do, there's always someone that's listening, whether it be on Live RC or whether it be in
Just at the race in general. Yeah, they love
Right.
a lot of people love the way that you put on your show.
Well, how you behave, I think, or how you announce a race or how you put together an event, there's a direct correlation to that, to a youngster coming in, and it absolutely blows his mind. And for all you know, that could be the next big star.
Sure.
It's,
And you know this from personal experience, because now you got a year under your belt now of race directing and making sure the
Right.
show goes on as planned. You can see all different sides of people complaining, from people yelling at other people. You even keep control of people on the driver's stand from throwing a remote at one another. They get into
Yeah.
almost a physical confrontation, and then you're always the one stepping up, coming in between that. And you've seen a lot of different stuff, and you've learned a lot in this past year.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
The secret to that is I carry a dart gun with elephant tranquilizer, and I shoot them.
Then they just fall off the stand
That's
onto
right.
the straightaway.
There you
that's
go.
Very
Well, it's
helpful.
all about respect. If you
Sure.
respect the racers, the way I see it is everybody has a 9-to-5 job. Everybody goes into work and is told what to do by their boss.
Yeah, they
They're
don't want to
doing
hear
their-
it from you. Yeah.
Yeah, when they're doing their recreation on the weekends, as long they don't need to be they don't need someone up there just constantly harping them and yelling at them and telling them they're doing this right or this wrong. As long as you run a smooth program and you have rules and you follow them, you don't single anybody out, you don't disrespect anybody. That's what the racers appreciate from what I understand. And I just try to go in there and make it fun for everybody, but at the same time, I know people don't want to be there till all different hours. So I know what needs to be done. You put on the race, it's hard because people want to come up and they want to talk, as you know, and you got to find that balance of of letting them know, hey, come up and see me during the break. I'll answer all your questions, or send them down to the tech crew.
Definitely.
And just keep your eye on the prize and keep focused, and don't let anything distract you, and just keep those races going, because it started off 50 people at the race, 100 people. Now we average in the electric JBRL this year we average 210 people per round.
Wow.
And that equates to 20, 25 heats. Do that twice, 3 times with the mains. That's a long day. So it's all about getting the track closed. When practice is over, getting those heats set up and getting everything timed. Get the heats set up so that the guys and girls in tech can highlight the sheets while you're doing the drivers' meetings, so that when they're posted, boom, national anthem, and you're on your way with racing, right at 9 o'clock.
Jimmy always starts every race off with this national anthem.
And that's good.
Yeah,
it's nice. It's nice to have a ceremony for
hey,
sure.
It's like baseball back in the day. It reminds me of that a lot, because I played baseball a lot as a kid. And we always had the national anthem played before every game, and Jimmy keeps that tradition alive. This is America,
now,
so this is how it's done. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Eric.
absolutely.
I know you got another question for him out there.
I know we got about 5 more minutes with you here, Jimmy, and I want to make sure and get these questions, because I'm dying to know, and I'm sure all our listeners are as well. It's kind of a 2-part question. During the JBRL seasons here, you get a ton of these venues. How do you decide which ones get to be part of the series, and how do they start to prepare for when you're going to be there? What necessary steps do they take? And then the second part of that question is the 2 new ones that you've picked up. Did they fluff their pillows extra fancy when you came down, or what steps were necessary for them? Did you let them know to have ready when their turn comes around?
Well, basically, like we talked about earlier, it's seniority is always first and foremost, because back when I started and no one knew who I was, and I called these tracks and they took a chance by allowing me to come there. I really appreciate those tracks, and that's why unless they tell me, sorry, we've had enough of you, we're going to continue to go back to these tracks. And then as far as new tracks go, I really, really, really love tracks that owners, really, really, are into it. I've had tracks over the last, 8 years of doing this where, the owner shows up, he unlocks the gate in the morning, and then he says, okay, I'll see you in the afternoon. And by the way, there's these 2 kids over here, they're going to water the track for you. And, it's like, okay, well, thanks for letting me use the track, but I don't want to go somewhere unless somebody wants us there. So what I look for is owners that are gung ho about the JBRL being there, and I kind of always put it out there and start making calls about this time, and going throughout the year, the racers are always keeping me posted on new tracks that come up. So like the guys in San Diego, I get a lot of Nitro guys, a lot of electric guys that come from San Diego, and they kept, saying, hey, there's these new tracks, SDRC, in, San Diego, and of course the 8th Wonder down in Chula Vista, and, Dave Brown, has come to a lot of my races, and Scott Bergen actually, came up to and raced a couple club races, about a month or 2 ago, at my place, just to say hello and introduce himself, and I'm like, okay, that's 150 plus miles to drive,
just to come say hi,
yeah.
Tuesday night to come say hi,
Yeah, it's
respect.
really neat. It is, and it's nice. It's nice to know that you care about where you're going. That it's not just a single thought agenda. You've got it out there. You want to make sure these guys love what they're doing. They love the JBRL and they want to be a part of it. Now I know we got about a minute and a quarter left with you here, Jimmy. I wanted to give you a chance to go through any events you have coming up real quick that you want to let out, any website addresses, that kind of stuff. Go ahead and fire away.
Well, basically my 2 websites, jimmybabcock.com for the JBRL and hotrodhobbies.com for my hobby shop. This weekend I'll be at Palm Desert for the Toys for Tots. Steve Burgess, Chris Morale, asked me to come out. I did it the last couple years, so it's an honor to go out there, especially, doing a charity race where it benefits, the kids and stuff for the holidays. That's always a good time.
That is for sure. Absolutely. Well, thank you, Jimmy, so much for being on. We appreciate the hell out of it. We wish we had a 2-hour show, and we will catch you guys next time on RC Race Chat.
Thanks, Jim.
Hi, I'm Duke Liberatore.
And I'm Dr. Jan McBarron.
We are a husband and wife team.
And together we host the #1 health talk show in the nation,
Duke and the Doctor.
You can hear our show weekdays from 6 to 8 a.m. here on KLAV 1230 a.m.
We'll discuss up-to-date health news, give away gifts, share a laugh or two, and answer health questions from our callers.
Don't miss Stay Healthy Las Vegas with Jeff Burke from 8 to 9 a.m. Feel happy, healthy, and terrific when you tune in to Duke and the Doctor.
Monday through Friday from 6 to 8 a.m. on KLAV.
My name is Jeffrey Burke, and I'm the host of the Staying Healthy Show here on KLAV. The Staying Healthy Show is now on KLAV 10 times per week. 10 times for you to hear the best guest in the industry and learn about the best nutritional products available for your good health. You can hear my show weekday mornings at 8 and a new show again at 5. Both shows are drive time for your listening pleasure. The show is sponsored by Stay Healthy Health Food Store, located at 840 South Rancho Drive in the Rancho Town and Country Center on the northwest corner of Charleston and Rancho. The hours of the store are Monday through Friday from 9 to 7 p.m., Saturdays 9 to 6, and closed on Sundays. Wayne Rudolph built his store with 3 principles in mind: great products and selection, a knowledgeable staff, and memorable service every time you visit his store. Please tune into the Staying Healthy Show 10 times per week here on KLAV. I'm looking forward to chatting with all of you and helping you get healthy, be healthy, and stay healthy.
Hi, this is Ed Smith, Nevada's top-rated business broker with 45 years of hardball experience. Listen in every Wednesday at noon for Street Guide to Business. Know when to sell, know when to buy. Learn all you need to know about your business and find out if the location really matters. Whether you're looking to purchase your first business, expand your current business, or turn it over to a relative, we have all the answers that could save you thousands of dollars. Listen in Wednesday at noon for the Street Guide to Business with Ed Smith and Michelle Viscato.
This Wednesday night at 8, join us for Sutures, hosted by Dr. Tim Arnott, author of 24 Realistic Ways to Improve Your Health. Sutures offers a common-sense reality check on living well, plus tips on living a longer, happier, and healthier life. Join us for Sutures this Wednesday night at 8, only here on KLAV.
Hi, I'm Fred Green, owner of the Brill Music Academy. Join me every Friday at 11 a.m. for our show, Music is for Everybody. On our show, you will learn some interesting things about music, information about famous composers, knowledge on all musical instruments, and how to keep the music and arts industry growing in Las Vegas. We will have some of our instructors talk about their love for music during the show. So whether it's piano, guitar, drums, brass, woodwind, strings, or vocals, everything will be covered because music is for everybody.
Don't miss out on Financial Fridays here at KLAV 1230 a.m. at 3 p.m. each Friday. Hi, I'm Leonard Wright, Money Doctor for the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants.
And I'm Scott Taylor, shareholder with Piercy Bowler Taylor & Kern, delivering innovative strategies for keeping money in your pocket for over 20 years.
Jason A. Thomas, a partner with Fair, Anderson, and Langerman. Our 80 years of combined experience will give you the information you need to make wise financial decisions.
So join Jason, Scott, and Leonard each Friday at 3 p.m. for epiphanies that will change your life.
This is Robert Wagner of Wagner & Associates Tax Solutions. Join me every Tuesday at 3 p.m. for my show, What's Taxing You, on KLAV. Are you going through an audit? Haven't filed your taxes in a number of years? Or do you just owe the IRS money and want to settle? I'm Robert Wagner. Listen to my radio show, What's Taxing You, every Tuesday at 3 p.m. on KLAV. Remember, we speak tax, so you don't have to.
I'm Amy Ayub.
And I'm Caroline Sioka.
And we invite you to join us for Moving People to Action, sponsored by the fabulous Radio City Pizzeria at Tivoli Village.
We're proud to announce our next guest, Sheriff Doug Gillespie.
Join us Wednesday, November 30th at 6 p.m. on KLAV or live online at KLAV1230am.com. Get inspired to take positive action and make a difference for yourself and your community with Moving People to Action.
Hey, this is Kate Pearson from the B-52s for RAD. Getting drunk is your own business, but when you drive drunk, you make it everybody's business. Don't drink and drive. Be responsible, plan ahead, and choose a designated driver. Remember, music lives, and so should you.
A public service message brought to you by You're listening to KLAV Las Vegas.